it's very insulting, Phil, like to suggest that I would, first of all, I don't need money from Justin Baldoni, okay? Let's just be clear. I don't need his money. I don't think he has it to spare, and I don't need his money. And it's an insult to me. It's an insult to Baldoni. It's an insult to Brian Friedman. It's an insult to Candace. It's an insult to Perez Hilton. Like all these people. I don't know Perez in his, situation, but I firmly believe Candace would never take money from somebody to do her reporting. I would never take money from somebody to do my reporting. And this is her trying to smear, to use her word, the reporters who are out there who aren't in love with her.
Yeah, look, in my opinion, let's be very clear. I'm stating my opinion here. This entire litigation train is probably being driven almost exclusively by the attorneys who have a financial interest in the longevity and complexity of this litigation. It's almost like a class action case where the only people that benefit are the lawyers. And so, look, Baldoni is probably being bled dry by the litigation costs. And, she's the one that launched this whole thing with a, in my opinion, specious claim of sexual harassment against him. And now to see that she's extending this out, and she's going after public figures like you and others who have, like you said, come to their own conclusions about what they want to think about her. It just confirms my suspicions. And look, I'm like you. I have very low opinion of her. I have never really known much about her until this litigation started, but it didn't take me long to reach my own conclusions. And wasn't influenced by Baldoni. I'm influenced by her and how she's behaving in this case. It has nothing to do with him. And honestly, if there's anybody that I care less about than Blake Lively, it might be her husband, Ryan Reynolds. These people have zero impact on my day-to-day life. I don't even think about them unless or until somebody's talking about this litigation in the media. And so it just has this unseemly air about the whole thing. And quite frankly, I'm ready for this litigation to be done with. But apparently it's going to be dragged out as long as it possibly can.
Yeah, Friedman just took her deposition at the end of July or early August. Mark, you're known, at least to me, for defending the little guy and like people who don't have a lot. Like you'll step in and help them. That's the thing that's really galling to me about this. Is it's like one thing to come after me. Obviously, I've got good lawyers. I did not use Brian on this because he's already involved in this case. But I did hire a lawyer, and it did cost me some money, and we made sure that I was protected and that we gave her the middle finger. But there are social media influencers who are just starting out their online careers who have no money and wouldn't know the first place to call to get a lawyer who could defend them on this kind of a subpoena that comes from these powerful law firms who then are trying to bully them. More than one has gotten a motion to compel after they've said, I'm not giving you this. And by the way, like just the obvious infringement, just because you're a social media influencer doesn't mean that you don't have a First Amendment protection in dealing with sourcing, which she's trying to probe at. She wants to know people's sources and see communications with sources. Just the overreach and, again, the bullying nature of it is offensive.
This would be one of those cases, I'm glad you brought it up, that I would say if somebody called me, they didn't have the money, I would consider assisting them for free because it is distasteful. Now, I don't feel the same way you guys do as of yet. I don't judge these people individually. I don't know them at all. I also do not know fully the merits of what she's alleging or not. I can tell you, however, that some of the things that she did allege, we've discussed on this program a number of times, how it's not necessarily supported by the evidence. And that all you need to do, like Geragos and I do and Phil does in the criminal arena, is create reasonable doubt. I don't know that you need to take every single thing that she's alleging and disprove it. A couple of things are clear or they're not. You'll have the footage of what occurred during shoots to undermine some of the things that she's alleging. And I think we've already done that on this show. So my concern legally is that what's being alleged isn't necessarily supported by the evidence.
Final point, and then I want to move on. Mark Geragos, how many public figures have you represented? When you are famous, people are going to write and think and feel negative things about you. It comes with the job, the nerve. I mean, in this way, it really did remind me of Harry and Megyn to try to go around whack-a-mole and harass like these, and I don't mean this insultingly, but like low-level social media influencers, some of whom had under 40 followers, by dragging them into court to try to intimidate them after into not saying negative things about you, is as petty as it gets. The true stars know this and would never dream of bothering the press in this manner to try to scare them into not saying anything about the star in the future.
So funny you say that, because I've been thinking about this case, and when I heard Phil talking about the lawyers, I don't think this is as much lawyer driven as PR flack driven. And I mean that in a negative sense, because PR flacks, I think, are one of they're worse than PI lawyers. So the problem with this case and what's going on here is precisely what you've said. You've got people who have very thin skin, don't understand what I tell most of my clients: just keep your head down for 96 hours and somebody else is going to do something more stupid and nobody's going to remember did. And so just haters are going to hate, forget about it. You don't need to engage unless and until somebody gets traction. And when that happens, you understand when there's a critical mass, and then you take action. But otherwise, this is so petty, to your point, and it's so driven by PR people and their kind of nonsense calculations that to me is what's driving this, and not so much the lawyers.
Megyn, can I ask you a question? Just to keep it balanced, okay? At the risk of anybody yelling at me, are you certain that nobody was paid for their criticism? And if you're not certain, don't her lawyers have an obligation to explore and potentially, not necessarily you, but others, and see whether there's any evidence that corroborates that this was exactly what they alleged?
No, because it's throwing darts at a board. It'd be one thing if they had a basis for it. Someone gave them a tip.
Well, that's my question. They might have a basis.
As far as I know, there's zero basis for this. There's zero good faith basis to allege this.
Fair enough.
You'd have to have a tip, like, hey, I heard that, Joe Schmo is getting paid by Baldoni for the... as far as I am aware, and I've been following the coverage of this, there's not even a hint of an allegation along those lines. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, and by the way, Mark, it's a frustration. Do you know how many times in a criminal defense case I've wanted to pierce source criticism because I know that it's law enforcement who's doing it, but you can't do it. It's there. It's a wall. That's it. Sorry.
Then the point's been made. If there's no good faith basis to believe that someone's been paid, then you can't.
Even if there is, there's nothing you can do.
No, because we're reporters. She wanted whenever I get ready for a show, when I got ready for the show, right, I get a packet. It's got a bunch of information. It's very thorough and detailed. My team goes through document after document to try to condense it so that we can do an orderly segment. And you guys know, because when it's a legal segment, we'll usually give it to the lawyers too. So you have all the factual background I have. And I'm proud of it. Very few people are this thorough in their preparation for their news show.
Good stuff. Pretty lengthy. Yeah.
It is. So we're very serious about it, and we try to make it fair.
Little too lengthy.
Out of every show that I've ever done over whatever number of years, your packets are way the best. And I think anybody would agree with that.
Thank you.
Well, they're certainly the thickest, and they're the best too. Yeah.
So, but my point is simply okay, so now if what she basically wanted was for any segment in which I spoke about her, like my interviews of Brian Friedman or what have you, she wanted everything. She wanted the emails between me and my team. She wanted the briefs or the packets. Hell no. The drafts of the packets. In my team, our discussions about how it went. Absolutely not. The nerve of this woman to think that I would ever turn that over or allow my team to turn it over. It just shows you the hubris that comes from being this Hollywood star. You know what? You're up against it now, sweetheart, because I will fight you. I will fight. I'll spend tons of money. It'll be my pleasure to spend tons of money fighting you and turning you into a loser, which is what happened here. What will the effect of the sparring between President Trump and the Federal Reserve be? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time, or are we going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown? And what does this mean for your savings? Consider diversifying with gold through Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, global uncertainty, and high inflation. And Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings into gold. If you have an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or just buy some gold to keep in your safe. First, get educated. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. Just text MK to the number 989898. Again, text MK to 989898 and consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. So if the Fed cannot stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.